about than the goal is Jimmy Montgomery's double save, which still is the best cup final save that's ever happened.
These are really pushing forward. Cherry, brilliant save, and Lorna makes it on each through. Astonishing.
Jimmy Montgomery did the business. Thank you very much. Not quite sure how he got to Lorimer's second shot after Trevor Cherry's header, but he did. It was just their day. Goalkeeper was outstanding. They scored the goal that mattered, and their name's on the cup, and that's all Sunderland fan cares about. Vivid memories of this bad boy.
Yes, I'm glad all over. Glad all over.
Good afternoon to those of you at home, many of you who are able to fully savour it with us this occasion with the crowd inside Villa Park on a very sunny day.
Palace Liverpool is possibly it is one of the best semi-finals ever. 7 months before, they lost 9-0. I mean, that's not a defeat, that's an absolute annihilation. 9-0 against Liverpool.
Nobody really gave them a prayer, and up to half-time it sort of went as was predicted, really. Liverpool very calm, confident, in control of the game.
Intercepting. Rush going to the left now. Onside, Ian Rush. Liverpool take the lead, and Ian Rush, the ace goal scorer, once again makes it look so easy.
Ian Rush scored really early in that game, and as a Palace fan, you can imagine, head in the hands, come on, just keep it to 5.
And then the game just exploded about 5 minutes after half-time. John Pemberton went on an unbelievable run, which I don't think he was instructed to do.
Well, let's see what Palace can do about it now in the second half as they attack the Holt end here at Villa Park. John Pemberton, a lovely run early on, and a shot for Barber, and Venison, and it's a shot, and it's there by Bright. It's Mark Bright, straight from the kick-off. After John Solako's shot didn't quite get there, Bright certainly did, and Palace are level.
There was this air about the second half that anything was possible, and that we weren't out of the game.
Bright's in there, and Thomas! Staunton, Gray! Gray, 3-3! Andy Gray for Palace, they're back in it!
One of the few times I'd seen that Liverpool team that really, really vulnerable at the back and rocks in terms of the way they were defending.
Thorne puts it on, and it's gone in! Pardew! 4-3 Palace!
Alan Pardew, who at that time was not a favourite amongst Crystal Palace supporters. He was one of the lesser-known players nationally, and up he pops with one of the most famous goals in the Eagles' history. You speak to Palace fans now, and yes, they'll remember some of the promotions. Yes, they'll remember some of the great moments, but no one will ever forget that semi-final.
Whenever a non-league team beats any league team, it's a story, but when there's such a gap between the teams, it's one that everybody talks about and remembers fondly.
Coventry go to Sutton United, and Sutton found it on the day. We've got a chance here to beat the first division side as it was, who were FA Cup holders. Let's produce a shot.
And Golly, and Rains, and a goal! And they have done it, and Tony Rains!
You've got to remember that Coventry were the winners of the FA Cup 2 seasons ago, and this is Sutton United. And it was, I can really vividly remember my dad saying, oh, this is he didn't really talk like that. This is a proper one, this one.
Here's Dawson. Oh, and driven in! And number 11, Matthew Hanlon, followed that in. And Sutton have done it again from a corner kick.
If that game hadn't happened, then we would never remember the name Matthew Hanlon, but that was his one moment in time. And he grabbed it.
Matthew Hanlon played a big part for Sutton United. Look at what he's doing now.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago.
Okay, next one.
We're all lined up, Blackpool in the dark shirts kicking off for this 1953 Cup Final, and away they go.
Growing up, you could not have Cup Final Day without them talking about the Matthews final.
Don't forget, this was only 8 years after the war, and the country was just getting itself back on its feet, and football had been a great catalyst for that. Crowds were huge, and Stanley Matthews was the great hero. He'd had 2 cracks at the FA Cup, and people were saying in '53, this has got to be Stan's last chance.
He had this opportunity in the cup final as a veteran. Maybe he could get his medal.
And it was a Lancashire hot pot, Blackpool against Bolton Wanderers. Mortensen managed to sort of nudge one in at the far post for 3-2. And then Blackpool rewarded a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. And, you know, we've seen some fantastic free kicks down the last 10, 20 years. But if you look back to that one in 1953, my goodness me, does Mortensen hit it?
There he is, Mortensen. It's a lovely goal!
Now we were poised for this fantastic climax. 47 seconds to go or something. Matthews has got the ball on the right wing and he's teasing the Bolton left back and he's doing that usual shuffle and then the quick run down the outside, which was Stanley's forte, of course.
There's the man who's really fighting for his cup medal. Could he score the winning goal now himself? He's there! Kerry!
The stadium went absolutely wild. And of course, people call it Matthews' Cup final. It was Mortensen's Cup final, really, because he scored arguably 3 goals.
It should be called the Stan final. Genuinely, I wasn't alive, but I'm still angry about this now.
I mean, that's wound me up. It was me, and it was like someone else had got it, and Fenwick had got an hat-trick.
Overrated, I say, Stanley Matthews. Overrated.
Imagine scoring the hat-trick and not... I mean, I'd be livid. I'd be absolutely livid.
You are livid, and you weren't even there.
There's Stanley, at long last he's done it. And everybody cheering him.
And Stanley Matthews winning the FA Cup, it just put the cap on it, really, especially as he made the last-minute winning goal.
It's unquestionably the greatest cup final.
There he is, Matthews. And no wonder a smiling face. Eddie Shimwell.
Gaza is just like the FA Cup, an institution of English football.
Paul Gascoigne at that particular time was flying. He was one of the best in world football.
They say he shouldn't have even played in the game because he wasn't fully fit. He'd just come back from a double hernia or something like that. So, you know, he was another one that loved the big occasion.
Someone had told Gaza, whether it was true or not, that the Arsenal team had been measured up for their cup final suits before the semi-final. So he was pretty pumped.
Play with, he was great. Play against, he was murder.
Free kick just left.
He steps up to take that free kick.
You know, Seaman's in goal. I mean, you're not really going to bet against Seaman from that distance.
I was just thinking, yeah, go on then, any team. Because I'll easily say this.
Is Gascoigne another crack? He is, you know. Brilliant!
When he strikes that ball and it flies and keeps flying and gliding through the air, I think the whole stadium probably held their breath for a minute there.
Is there anything left from this man to surprise us?
I did get my studs caught. I held my hands up straight away, and you know he was like, I mean, none of it. No, it was the power of the bend that beat you and everything. But I know
It was just a fantastic moment in a huge game, and if anyone was going to score a goal like that, then you wanted it to be Gaza.
he never ever lets me forget it.
I'm now away to get my suit measured. Yes!
What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
That free kick epitomised him really of his career and the way that he was, that he could produce these real moments that we could all cherish and watch back in years to come.
The whole world watched Gaza, and at times like that, he delivered.
No one seems to remember the 2 goals I scored.
Don't you dare go moaning about Lineker not getting enough attention.
And Lineker uses it by not using it. Good try, score!
Who cares? He got 2 in that game.
But it was a stinging shot, so it would have probably gone through the hands of many a goalkeeper.
So Gaza's heroics takes them to the final against Forest, and then goes in for a tackle, totally mistimed, totally misjudged, injures himself in the process, has to be stretchered off, and that's the end of his FA Cup final.
So it was a day of mixed emotions, certainly for Gaza. Obviously, he was never quite the same, didn't move quite the same after that day. But at the same time, he was part of the side that won the FA Cup, and he was the main reason we won the FA Cup.
Spurs have won the FA Cup for a record 8th time.
Gaza, what a player. His movement, his dribbling, his passing, just an absolute incredible player.
He was capable,
producing pieces of magic, whether that was a Spurs shirt or a Newcastle shirt or even an England shirt.
What a player just in that year or two while he was at the top of his game was enough to make him last in my memory bank for a lifetime.
What a genius Paul Gascoigne is.
I don't want us to make this hammy, but I don't feel like we can talk about the FA Cup without listing a load of cliches.
So you've got David versus Goliath, giant killings, Hello Turf, part-time minnows.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, but do commentators have to use at least 3 of them?
No.